All right, let's be real. How many of you have been told that DHT is the reason you're losing your hair? Maybe you've seen the commercials, block DHT, stop hair loss. Sounds convincing, right? Well, what if I told you that's only half the story? In fact, what if I told you that DHT isn't the root cause of baldness at all, and blocking it could actually do more harm than good? I'm Marco Lane, and today we're taking a deep dive into the science of hair loss and exposing one of the biggest myths in men's health, the idea that DHT is the bad guy. Because here's the thing. There are millions of bald men walking around with perfectly normal, even low DHT levels. Meanwhile, guys with sky-high DHT are out there rocking full heads of hair. So what's really going on? In this episode, we're going to break it all down. Why DHT isn't the enemy, the real metabolic and hormonal culprits behind hair loss, and how you can actually improve your hair health without wrecking your hormones. If you're tired of the same old advice, if you've ever wondered why no one's telling you the full story, then stick with me, because by the end of this episode, you're going to have an entirely new perspective on hair loss, and maybe even a new strategy to fight it. All right, let's get into it. All right. Before we get into why DHT isn't the real villain, we need to actually understand what's happening when hair starts thinning. Because let's be honest, most people don't even know what hair loss actually is. They just wake up one day, see more strands in the shower drain, and panic. So let's break it down in simple terms. Hair doesn't just grow forever, it goes through cycles. And these cycles determine whether your hair is growing strong or slowly shutting down. The hair growth cycle, the 3 phases. Your hair goes through 3 main phases. Think of it like seasons for your scalp. 1. Anagen, the growth phase. This is when your hair is actively growing. This phase can last anywhere from 2 to 7 years. The longer your hair stays in this phase, the thicker and healthier it is. Catagen, the transition phase. This is a short period, only a few weeks, where the hair stops growing and prepares to shed. 3. Telogen, the resting and shedding phase. This is where hair falls out and makes room for new hair to grow. About 10 to 15% of your hair is in this phase at any given time. Now, here's the problem. Hair loss happens when too many hairs get stuck in the resting phase and don't cycle back into growth. That's when thinning starts. Different types of hair loss. There's not just one type of hair loss. There are actually several. And if you don't know which one you have, you might be wasting time and money on the wrong treatments. Macho 1. Androgenic alopecia, male pattern baldness. This is the most common type. It follows a predictable pattern: receding hairline, thinning crown, and eventually full baldness in certain areas. Most people assume this is just a genetic issue caused by DHT, but we'll get into why that's not the full story in a minute. 2. Telogen effluvium, stress-related hair loss. This happens when your body goes through extreme stress, illness, or sudden diet changes. You lose a lot of hair all at once, but the good news is this type is often reversible. 3. Alopecia areata, autoimmune hair loss. This is when your immune system starts attacking your hair follicles. It leads to patchy, bald spots and can sometimes affect eyebrows and body hair too. 4. Diffuse thinning, hormonal and metabolic issues. This is where hair thins out evenly across the scalp. It's often linked to thyroid issues, nutrient deficiencies, and metabolic problems. Most doctors overlook this type because they're so fixated on blaming genetics. The genetic myth, why it's not just your DNA. Now, a lot of guys hear male pattern baldness and think, well, my dad was bald, so I'm screwed. But here's what they don't tell you. Genetics don't determine everything. Sure, genes might set the stage, but your environment, metabolism, and hormones pull the trigger. That's why. Some men with bald fathers keep a full head of hair their whole life. Others with no family history start balding at 25. If it were just genetics, hair loss would happen at the same time and in the same way for every guy. But it doesn't. And that's because your metabolism, inflammation levels, and nutrient status all play a role in whether your hair thrives or shrinks away. So, what's actually causing hair loss? We're about to get into the real causes of hair loss and why blaming DHT is outdated science. But before we move on, here's what we know so far. Hair loss isn't random. It follows predictable patterns based on hair growth cycles. There are different types of hair loss, and not all are caused by the same thing. Genetics might load the gun, but your environment and metabolism pull the trigger. So if DHT isn't the real enemy, then what is? Well, that's what we're about to uncover next. So, here's the question everyone asks. If DHT isn't the real cause of hair loss, why does every hair loss treatment seem obsessed with blocking it? Finasteride, dutasteride, anti-DHT shampoos, these things dominate the market. But what if I told you the entire premise is built on shaky science? Let's start with the basics. What is DHT, and why does it even exist in the first place? What is DHT really? DHT, or dihydrotestosterone, is a powerful androgen derived from testosterone. Your body converts a small percentage of testosterone into DHT using an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. And here's what's interesting. DHT isn't some flawed or useless byproduct. It has important biological roles. It's responsible for male sexual development during puberty. It plays a role in muscle strength, mood, and overall energy levels. And ironically, it promotes hair growth in some areas, like your beard and chest. So, if DHT causes hair to grow on your face but supposedly makes it fall out on your head, shouldn't we be asking, why does the same hormone have opposite effects? The flaws in the DHT theory. The idea that DHT causes baldness comes from studies that looked at bald scalps and noticed they had higher levels of DHT in the affected areas. But here's where the logic falls apart. If DHT were the main cause of baldness, then every man with high DHT should go bald. That's simply not the case. There are guys with sky-high testosterone and DHT who never lose a strand of hair. On the flip side, there are bald men with low DHT. Studies show that total systemic DHT levels are often normal or even lower in men with male pattern baldness. And here's the real kicker. Men who take finasteride to block DHT often report a drop in libido, energy, and overall vitality. Why? Because DHT isn't just some nuisance, it's a crucial androgen. So what's actually happening? Why do bald scalps show higher local DHT levels? It turns out DHT is likely a response to inflammation, not the cause. What's really causing hair loss? Imagine this. Your scalp is under chronic stress. Maybe it's from poor circulation, excess inflammation, or oxidative damage. What does your body do? It sends DHT and other androgens to the area to try and repair the damage. It's no different than how testosterone rises after a workout to help rebuild muscle. So when we see high DHT in bald scalps, it's likely a compensatory response. Your body is trying to fix something. And this lines up with what we see in real life. Balding areas often have poor blood flow and excess fibrosis, meaning nutrients aren't getting to the hair follicles. High levels of chronic inflammation have been found in thinning scalps. And men with metabolic issues, like insulin resistance, hypothyroidism, or chronic stress, are more prone to hair loss. DHT isn't the villain. It's just caught in the crossfire. So, if we want to stop hair loss at the root, blocking DHT isn't the answer. Fixing metabolism, circulation, and inflammation is. The DHT blocker problem. Why it's a bad idea. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, finasteride. This drug is designed to inhibit 5-alpha reductase, which means your body produces less DHT. And yeah, it might slow hair loss in some guys, but at what cost? Here's what the research shows. Finasteride can cause sexual dysfunction. Some men experience ED, low libido, and even permanent side effects. DHT is needed for mental sharpness and mood stability. Low DHT has been linked to depression and brain fog. Blocking DHT doesn't fix the underlying cause of hair loss. Once you stop taking the drug, the problem comes right back. So instead of chasing a Band-Aid solution, wouldn't it make more sense to ask, what's actually disrupting hair growth in the first place? That's exactly what we're going to get into next. So if DHT isn't the villain, then what is? The answer isn't just one thing. It's a combination of metabolic dysfunction, inflammation, poor circulation, and nutrient imbalances. Let's break it down. 1. Metabolic and hormonal factors. A lot of guys think of hair loss as a purely genetic issue. But what if it's actually a sign that your metabolism isn't functioning properly? Hair follicles are metabolically active tissues. They need a constant supply of oxygen, nutrients, and energy to keep growing. When your metabolism slows down or gets disrupted, hair is one of the first things to suffer. One of the biggest culprits? Thyroid dysfunction. Your thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, directly regulate hair growth. Low thyroid function leads to brittle, thinning hair and slows down the hair growth cycle. Many men with hair loss have undiagnosed hypothyroidism. Another factor? Chronic stress and cortisol overload. When stress hormones like cortisol are elevated for too long, your body goes into energy conservation mode. Instead of prioritizing hair growth, it starts focusing on survival. This is why so many guys notice thinning hair during periods of extreme stress. Estrogen dominance and poor liver detoxification. Here's something almost no one talks about: the role of excess estrogen in hair loss. Men aren't supposed to have high levels of estrogen, but in today's world, it's becoming more common due to plastics and endocrine disruptors in food and water, low testosterone levels, poor liver function, leading to excess estrogen buildup. High estrogen throws off the androgen balance, increasing inflammation and contributing to diffuse hair thinning. Your liver is responsible for detoxifying excess estrogen, but if it's sluggish due to alcohol, poor diet, or nutrient deficiencies, estrogen builds up and causes problems. A simple test? Look at your body composition. If you have excess fat in your lower stomach or chest area, you might be dealing with estrogen dominance. Insulin resistance and blood sugar issues. Next up, blood sugar problems. Hair follicles need a steady supply of glucose and nutrients to stay healthy, but when insulin resistance kicks in, it can lead to poor circulation to the scalp, increased inflammation, nutrient deficiencies that weaken hair follicles. This is why men with diabetes or prediabetes often experience hair loss. They have chronic blood sugar imbalances that damage small blood vessels, including those in the scalp. The solution? Focus on a metabolically supportive diet that keeps blood sugar stable, not ultra-low-carb starvation diets that stress the body out. 4. Nutritional deficiencies. This is a huge factor in hair loss. Hair is one of the last things your body prioritizes when nutrients are scarce. Some of the most common deficiencies linked to hair thinning. Vitamin D. Essential for hair follicle cycling and immune regulation. Low levels have been directly linked to increased hair shedding. Zinc, needed for scalp health and hormone balance. A deficiency can lead to hair thinning and brittle strands. Magnesium helps regulate stress hormones and DHT metabolism. Low magnesium leads to excessive inflammation and poor blood flow. Vitamin A, E, and K2. These fat-soluble vitamins support sebum production, reduce oxidative stress, and keep hair follicles nourished. Bioavailable protein and collagen. Hair is made of keratin, which is built from amino acids. If you're not getting enough high-quality protein and gelatin-rich foods, your hair will suffer. 5. Inflammation, fibrosis, and poor circulation. One of the biggest overlooked causes of hair loss? Chronic inflammation and scalp fibrosis. When the scalp is inflamed for long periods, it leads to reduced blood flow to hair follicles, collagen hardening, fibrosis, which chokes the follicle, oxidative stress that damages hair root cells. A healthy scalp needs good circulation to deliver oxygen and nutrients. But if your blood flow is weak, or if your scalp is full of fibrosis, your hair follicles start shrinking. Ever wonder why bald scalps look shiny and tight? That's because fibrosis has set in and the skin has lost its natural elasticity. The solution? Scalp massage, red light therapy, and reducing inflammatory foods. The real root of hair loss. So what's the common thread between all these factors? Hair loss isn't about one single hormone. It's about your entire metabolic and inflammatory environment. If your metabolism is sluggish, your hair suffers. If your circulation is poor, your hair follicles weaken. If your stress hormones are out of control, hair growth slows down. If your diet is lacking essential nutrients, your hair lacks the building blocks to grow. This is why DHT blockers don't fix the problem. They're treating a symptom, not the real underlying cause. But the good news? If you support your metabolism, lower inflammation, and optimize nutrition, your hair has a much better chance of thriving. So the real question is, what can you actually do to fix it? That's what we're going to cover next. So now that we've exposed the real causes of hair loss, let's talk about what actually works to improve hair health and regrow stronger, thicker hair. This isn't about quick fixes or gimmicky products. This is about supporting your metabolism, optimizing circulation, and giving your body the nutrients it actually needs. Let's break it down. 1. Boost your metabolism for better hair growth. Since hair follicles are energy intensive, improving your metabolism is one of the most important things you can do. Here's how to optimize metabolic function for stronger hair growth. Support your thyroid. Eat pro-metabolic foods like whole dairy, eggs, shellfish, and fruit. Avoid extreme low-carb or low-calorie diets. They slow metabolism and weaken hair follicles. Supplement iodine, selenium, and vitamin A if needed. Reduce chronic stress. Get sunlight daily. UV light helps regulate stress hormones. Avoid excessive fasting or overexercising. Both can spike cortisol, which disrupts hair growth. Improve sleep. Lack of deep sleep increases inflammation and hair shedding. Balance blood sugar. Eat meals that combine protein, carbs, and fats to avoid blood sugar crashes. Avoid excess PUFA, polyunsaturated fats. They damage mitochondria and increase hair-thinning inflammation. Include root vegetables, ripe fruits, and honey for easy-to-digest energy. 2. Improve scalp circulation and reduce fibrosis. Without good blood flow, your hair follicles get starved of nutrients and oxygen. Here's how to increase scalp circulation and break down fibrosis. Scalp massage. Use your fingertips to massage your scalp for 5 to 10 minutes daily. This helps stimulate blood flow and prevent fibrosis. Use a high-quality boar bristle brush to distribute natural scalp oils. Red light therapy, LLT. Studies show red light therapy, 6 to 850 nanometer wavelengths, helps stimulate hair regrowth by increasing cellular energy, ATP production. Apply 5 to 10 minutes daily to thinning areas for best results. Essential oils and scalp treatments. Rosemary oil has been shown to be as effective as minoxidil in studies. Peppermint oil increases circulation and can help improve scalp health. Mix with carrier oils like jojoba or emu oil for deeper absorption. 3. Optimize key nutrients for hair growth. You can't grow healthy, thick hair if you're missing key nutrients. Here's what you need to focus on. Vitamin D, essential for hair follicle activation. Get daily sunlight or supplement 4,000 to 5,000 IU daily if deficient. Magnesium regulates stress hormones and improves blood flow to the scalp. Get it from leafy greens, cacao, or magnesium glycinate. Zinc and copper balance. Zinc supports testosterone metabolism and prevents scalp inflammation. Copper is needed for melanin production, helps prevent premature graying. Best sources: oysters, beef liver, and shrimp. Collagen and gelatin supports scalp elasticity and reduces fibrosis. Best sources: bone broth, gelatin, or hydrolyzed collagen powder. B vitamins, especially biotin and B5, help regulate scalp oil production and hair strength. Found in egg yolks, beef liver, and dairy. 4. Avoid common hair-damaging habits. Sometimes the best thing you can do for your hair is to stop doing the things that damage it. Here's what you should avoid. DHT blockers, finasteride, dutasteride, etc. We've already covered why blocking DHT is not the answer. It can lead to low energy, brain fog, and even sexual dysfunction. High PUFA diets, too many vegetable oils, soy, canola, sunflower, etc. Increase inflammation and oxidative stress, leading to weaker, thinner hair. Excess alcohol in processed foods. Alcohol taxes your liver, making it harder to detox excess estrogen and inflammation. Processed junk food starves your body of real nutrients. Overwashing or using harsh shampoos. Frequent washing strips natural scalp oils, leading to dryness and irritation. Use a gentle Listat sulfate-free shampoo and consider washing only 2 to 3 times per week. 5. The bottom line, a holistic approach to hair health. At the end of the day, hair loss isn't about one single issue. It's a reflection of your overall metabolic health. If you want strong, healthy hair, you need to focus on optimizing your metabolism with nutrient-dense foods and proper energy balance, improving scalp circulation through massage, red light therapy, and essential oils, supporting key nutrients like vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, and collagen, reducing inflammation by cutting out PUFAs, alcohol, and processed junk, avoiding unnecessary DHT blockers that don't address the real issue. And most importantly, hair health is a long-term game. It takes consistency, patience, and the right approach. In the next section, we'll wrap things up and go over the key takeaways from this episode. We've covered a lot in this episode, so let's do a quick recap. For decades, we've been told that DHT is the main culprit behind hair loss. But the reality, DHT is not the root cause. It's actually a response to underlying metabolic and inflammatory issues. Here are the key takeaways from today's episode. Hair loss isn't just genetic. It's a sign of metabolic dysfunction. DHT is not the villain. Blocking it can lead to hormonal imbalances and unwanted side effects. The real causes of hair loss include slow metabolism and low thyroid function, chronic inflammation and poor scalp circulation, insulin resistance and high stress hormones, cortisol, nutrient deficiencies, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, and collagen, excess estrogen, and poor liver detoxification. Instead of blocking DHT, focus on supporting your body with pro-metabolic nutrition and proper blood sugar balance, daily sunlight, stress reduction, and deep sleep, scalp massage and red light therapy to improve circulation, essential nutrients that fuel hair growth. The bottom line? Hair loss is fixable, but not with Band-Aid solutions. It's about fixing the internal environment so your body can naturally support healthy hair growth. Now, I know this might be a totally different perspective than what you've heard before. And if you have questions, personal experiences, or topics you want to dive deeper into, I'd love to hear from you. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. And if you're interested in more deep dives into how metabolism affects every aspect of health, stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.